Da 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 da. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that now because that hurts my throat. Welcome to the Kevin Talks Movies podcast, episode 1. And not to brag or anything, but I am indeed Kevin. Yes, the Kevin from the title of the show. Kevin Talks Movies. Hello, that's me. But in addition to Kevin Talks Movies, I also like to call this thing Kevin's excuse to talk about movies, because really that's pretty much just what I want to do here. And I don't even care if there's really listeners, which if you're listening to this, I guess you're a listener. But it's just my excuse to talk about movies, that's all. Except that's kind of too wordy, so I narrowed it down to Kevin Talks Movies podcast. And as you may have found out by that little song that hurt my throat at the beginning there, yeah, that was the Terminator theme song. You know what that means? We're talking about Terminator 2. So, basically on this podcast, we're going to talk about, we're going to single out a specific movie each week, and we're going to talk about that movie maybe in detail, maybe not. Maybe we'll just rant about it. You know, who knows? Sometimes we'll have guests. Sometimes it'll just be me and you. But we're going to have fun. So today we're talking about Terminator 2. And if you're not familiar with Terminator 2, you should probably see it, because it's a good one. And out of the Terminator franchise, a lot of people would consider it the best one. The first two are definitely the best two for me. I don't know if I would consider the second one better than the first. But they're both pretty equally good, and I think they're both equally classics. I don't know why people tend to skip Terminator 1 and just go straight to Terminator 2 in terms of, you know, which movie's a classic or not or whatever. But, yeah, Terminator 2 is definitely considered a classic by many. I think they're both classics. But anyway, let's talk about the movie. So, I actually just rewatched Terminator 2 for like the 1000th time. I finally bought it on Amazon. I bought it in 4K, which was super nice. It was so beautiful. Anything in 4K is beautiful, but I was going to call it an 80s movie. But a 90s movie, it came out in 1991, kind of an 80s movie still. The first one was an 80s movie. So an 80s movie in 4K or a 90s movie, genius, spectacular, beautiful, love it. So awesome. Especially such a great movie in 4K. Oh my god, I love 4K. I could go on a whole thing about 4K, but I won't, for your sake, so you don't have to listen to me ramble about 4K forever. So, Terminator 2. Y'all know John Connor? So you probably met John Connor by this point in the movies. Yeah, so the first Terminator, John Connor wasn't born yet. The Terminator was going to kill Sarah Connor before she gave birth to John Connor. John Connor's the future leader of the Resistance, by the way. But this time, Terminator 2, John Connor is a kid. He's actually alive now. And he's kind of a badass kid, but that's probably just because Sarah Connor taught him to be a badass from a young age. And, so this time, they send back 2 Terminators. Yeah, maybe that's another meaning to Terminator 2. Maybe it's a coincidence. So, they send back 1 Terminator to kill John Connor. They send another Terminator to protect John Connor. And in the first movie, spoiler alert, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the bad Terminator. Well, in the first Terminator, there was only 1 Terminator. There wasn't 2. But in the first movie, the T-1000, I think it's T-1000, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, whichever one that is, he was trying to kill Sarah Connor. He was the bad guy. He was the antagonist. So, this time, Arnold comes back And he's no longer, spoiler alert, he's no longer the bad guy. He is the good guy in this one. I know. He's there to protect John Connor. And the opposing side, the machines, they send back a different Terminator, a more advanced Terminator than Arnold. Sure, Arnold can take a punch. He can take a few bullets, whatever. But this new Terminator makes it a lot more difficult to defeat. This Terminator freaking not only can take a punch, he not only can take a bullet, but he can take just about anything. He's not made of just regular metal like Arnold is. He's made of liquid metal, which just makes him a little more impossible to beat. As if the Terminator wasn't hard enough to beat. Only took Sarah about 2 hours the first time. And that's in movie time. That's edited. Probably took her a few days to kill the Terminator the first time. But, yeah, so this guy is way tougher. Well, I call him a guy, but really he's a robot. Yeah, and as far as sequels goes, sequels have a tendency to not be as good as the first movie. We all know this. But Terminator 2 actually probably... I know this is contradicting what I said earlier, but Terminator 2 actually probably stepped it up a notch from the first movie, which is a rarity in sequels. I forget words sometimes, so you're going to have to deal with that. But, so, enough about the plot. You know the plot. You've seen the movie. Probably... I'm guessing you've seen the movie 5 times. Let me know how close I am with that guess. But I'm guessing you've seen the movie 5 times. I've seen it probably 25 times. Maybe more. I'm trying to undersell it. Anyways. So something that's really cool about Terminator 2, a little behind the scenes now. Something that's really cool about Terminator 2 is that they had a couple instances of twins in the movie playing the same character, which is cool. But so the liquid metal guy, the badass that he is, he can transform into people. Yeah. So sometimes you won't be able to tell if it's the actual person that you trust and love, or if it's, that guy. Bad guy. Speaking of, there's one scene in the movie which was really great. I thought, when I was rewatching it, I was thinking about how great of freaking dialogue it is. Because... So, Arnold Schwarzenegger is protecting John Connor, and he's with John Connor somewhere trying to escape, trying to basically run away from the liquid metal guy at the moment. And so, John's on the phone with his stepmom, and there's a dog barking on the background in her end. It's the neighbor's dog. And Arnold takes the phone from John because Arnold thinks it's the freaking liquid metal guy, which, surprise, surprise, it was. But, so the phone conversation went something like this. So Arnold takes the phone, and so he asks John what the dog's name is. John says the dog's name is Max. Arnold takes the phone, and he asks his stepmom, in John's voice, he asks the stepmom, "Hey, Mom, how's Wolfie?" So we know Wolfie is not the dog's name. The dog's name is Max. And so she responds, "Oh, Wolfie's fine, honey." which gives it away. Dead giveaway. That ain't the stepmom. She dead. Liquid metal guy killed her. Anyways, back to the behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. Back to the behind the scenes. Yeah, there was a couple uses of twins during the movie to play copycats, I guess, of the characters in the movie. One instance was Sarah Connor, played by Linda Hamilton. Her twin sister. There was a scene at the end of the movie. Again, spoiler alert. What are you doing listening to this if you haven't seen the movie? There is a scene at the end of the movie where Liquid Metal Guy comes up to John, all as Sarah Connor, and he's all wounded and shit, and he is like, John, help me, I'm hurt so bad. Which we all know Sarah Connor wouldn't do in 1,000 years. Sarah Connor's tough, and she would never risk John Connor's life when there's a Terminator around. But John Connor, of course, starts falling for it like the nincompoop he is. And, but luckily for John, behind the liquid metal Sarah Connor comes the real Sarah Connor. And she's going to shoot the liquid metal guy. Which, by the way, the whole time, they keep shooting the liquid metal guy. Why? Shooting him doesn't do anything. It might slow him down for like half a second, but what are you doing wasting your ammo on this guy? It doesn't stop this guy. You can shoot him in the face 50 times. He'll still be all right, and he'll only be slowed down by like 2 seconds. So what are you doing even wasting your time shooting this guy? Anyway, so the real Sarah Connor comes up behind liquid metal Sarah Connor, and, she's going to shoot him. So at that point, John Connor knows who the real Sarah Connor is. Because, he can figure it out. But for that scene, for shooting that scene, it was actually the actress Linda Hamilton's. It was her Linda Hamilton. It was Can I say her name right once? That would be great, please. It was Linda Hamilton's twin sister. I'm not sure which one was which. Who was playing Sarah Connor and who was playing liquid metal Sarah Connor. Actually, you know what? Linda Hamilton was probably playing regular Sarah Connor, as she does in basically all the movies up until Genesis. But, so yeah, that was a instance where there were 2 Sarah Connors in frame at once, and they would have twins playing those roles, which I think is pretty freaking cool. There was another instance where there was that husky security guard in the it was the mental institution in which Sarah Connor was enlisted, and liquid metal guy was trying to get to Sarah Connor because he knew that's where he would find John Connor, because he knew John Connor would go back to try to get Sarah Connor out, despite Arnold's advice saying, no, that's going to be where he is, so we can't go there. Anyway, they do go there, and so the liquid metal guy, he transforms into one of the security guards, kills that guy. He transforms into that guy after he kills him. And, again, both in frame at the same time, and those were another set of twins, which I think is just really resourceful. It's really useful. Good job on their part, And I'm sorry I don't know the different names between the Terminators. I know one of them is for sure the T-1000. And I know the other one is something else. T... something. I should have really looked it up, but I didn't. So, sorry. T-1000, I'm pretty sure the T-1000 is Arnold or the liquid metal guy. One of the two. Which, by the way, Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, Perfect casting, but I'll get into that if I talk about the first Terminator. Keyword there is if. Which I probably will, because I love the Terminator. Terminator and Terminator 2 are two of my favorite movies of all time. There's a lot of other movies on that list. And I'm not saying Terminator and Terminator 2 are my favorite movies, because they're definitely not. That spot belongs to Back to the Future, which I'm sure I will talk about at some point. Because I talk about it all the time in real life. So why not on the podcast, you know? Anyway, another 80s movie. Maybe I just like 80s movies. Who knows? So, some fun facts about Terminator 2. Did you know? And I'm just straight up reading this from a website. But did you know that the shopping mall in which the Terminators descend on John? Oh, yeah. So there's this scene in the movie where, John Connor, he's just playing some arcade games, probably scamming some people. That's what he does well. And both the Terminators break into the mall because, they, want to kill and or save him, depending on which Terminator you're talking about. So, apparently, the mall they used for that movie was the Santa Monica Place, the exterior of which was used for Ridgemont Mall at Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Can I say anything right? No. The answer is no. Probably not anyways. So the opening war scene from the future in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, by the way, was shot at the demolished steel plant in Fontana on the outskirts of the San Bernardino in L.A. The twisted bikes, burned out cars, and blackened cinders are debris from the Universal Studios fire of 1989, which were disgruntled security guard torched the back lot. So, fun fact there. That doesn't sound, it doesn't sound fun to be there at the Universal Studios fire, but it sounds, fun that they used that stuff when they made the movie for the, because Terminator 2 starts out in the future after the machines had taken over, and, everything's just gone to hell. Everything's just beat up, gray, blue, dead, etc. So, Terminator 2, the film's budget was $102 million, the highest ever at the time. The movie earned $204.8 million in the US and Canada alone, and $519.8 million worldwide. So, yeah, that is a profit of about $400 million, which is, I think, a win. It was the highest-grossing film of 1991, which beat out Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. The original Terminator grossed only $38 million in the U.S. in its theatrical run, making Terminator 2 a 434% increase from the original, which, substantial. No wonder they made a third movie, and, the third movie... God, don't get me started on the third movie. The third movie was pointless because the third movie was basically Terminator 2, except, so the liquid metal guy, he can only transform into, basically he can transform into people, or he can transform into solid things of the same size. He can transform into, say, maybe not a vending machine, well, maybe. He can transform into a floor. He can transform into people. He can transform his arm into, like, a knife. Those types of things. But he can't transform his arm into, say, a gun. which Terminator 3, the new Terminator, is able to do that. She can turn her hand into a gun if she wants. Which, the point is, the money they made on Terminator 2 is probably why they made Terminator 3, even though they could have made it better. Come on, James Cameron. I'm not sure if James Cameron even did the third one. I'm pretty sure, though, he did the first two. Actually, you know what? I don't think James Cameron did the third one. Maybe that's why it sucked. Anyway. But it's not as bad as Terminator Salvation, so there's that. So, in 1993, the special edition cut of the film was released containing 17 minutes of unseen footage, including a scene where apparently Kyle Reese makes an appearance in one of Sarah Connor's dreams, which is really cool. So, yeah, I mean, Kyle Reese, everybody. Spoiler alert again, Kyle Reese was sent back in time in the first movie. And he was sent back in time by John Connor to protect Sarah Connor from the Terminator that was being sent back to kill her. And John didn't know this when he sent him back, but yeah, as it would turn out, Kyle Reese was John Connor's father. Bum, bum, bum. I know. What a trip. Time travel is a weird thing, man. It's a weird thing. So apparently Terminator 2 was adapted by Marvel Comics as a 3-issue miniseries. Which I'm looking at the comic covers right now, and it looks just like the movie. It has legitimate just scenes from the movie, so don't waste your time on the comics, it looks like. Because, you could just watch the movie. Buy it in 4K. It's beautiful in 4K. Oh my god, it's so good in 4K. It looks so high def. It looks great. So in 1996, Cameron directed an attraction at Universal Studios theme park called Terminator 2 3D Battle Across Time that saw the return of Schwarzenegger, Hamilton, Patrick, and Furlong to their roles. Costing $60 million to produce. This isn't a movie. This is just something at Universal Studios. This cost $60 million to produce with a runtime of only 12 minutes. It became the most expensive venture per minute in the history of film. It includes the rather wonderful moment at 6 minutes and 25 seconds where Arnie uses a shotgun as a baseball bat against the mini flying saucer. Badass. Anyway, James Cameron. Did you guys see that South Park episode? That was a good one. The South Park episode. They had James Cameron, and there was a whole song about James Cameron, and it was great. The episode was James Cameron kept talking about raising the bar, and it turned out that the bar was not metaphorical. There was a literal bar in the bottom of the ocean, like by the Titanic, and they had to literally raise the bar so that movies could be better, I guess, was the plot of the episode. But anyway, there was a great song at the end about James Cameron. It went something like, but James Cameron. I don't know. I'm not a singer. That's pretty much all you're going to hear me sing in the whole series of this podcast. Except for the, Terminator thing. I meant to say theme. Except for the Terminator theme at the beginning of this podcast. And I promise not to introduce each movie with its theme song. Although I very well may. We'll see. Because I did it for Terminator, and I could see myself doing it also for a movie like Jurassic Park. Anyway, back to Terminator 2. James Cameron says that not only was the biker bar scene filmed across the street from where the LAPD officers beat up Rodney King, but they were filming the night of the beating. What? That is crazy. What? Apparently so. Again, I'm just reading these facts from a website. You could do this research on your own, but, you know, you're listening to me, so you might as well stick around and learn this for yourself. Oh, here's a fact. You know how I was talking about the Wolfie scene? I promise I didn't know this ahead of time. I just really like the dialogue in that scene. But here's a fact about that scene. Yeah. What do you know? So James Cameron once owned a dog named Wolfie. His dog's name was apparently short for Beowulf, which he called him Wolfie. This website here says that, in parentheses, that Wolfie is the name of John's dog, but no, that is incorrect because I just watched the movie website. I just watched the movie in 4K, which was stunning again. Anyway, and John specifically said that the dog's real name was Max, and he told Wolfie to the liquid metal Terminator to see if it was indeed his stepmom or not. So no, Wolfie was not the name of John Connor's dog. It was Max. This website has it wrong. So now I don't know how much I can trust this website. But I'm going to keep reading anyway. So anyway, that Rodney King thing may not be true as well. But it is a fun fact. It is a fun, at least it's a fun alternative fact. Yeah, that's what's going on here. Anyway, so for the scene where Arnold walks into the biker bar in the nude, Arnold was actually wearing his apparently rather hideous, according to the website, his rather hideous Bermuda shorts, and it's worth checking out in this shot. Oh, yeah. Oh, those are hideous. Those are very 80s. Oh my god, those are extremely 80s. Wow. Woo! Yeah, so he was not nude. He was wearing some ugly bathing suits. So, don't get your hopes up. Anyway. Moving on. So James Cameron's original pick to play the T-1000. Oh, okay. So the T-1000 was the liquid metal Terminator. I'm not sure what model Arnold is. The T-100 maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so James Cameron's original pick to play the T-1000, the liquid metal guy, was Billy Idol, and storyboards had the robot resembling him, but a serious motorcycle accident, oh no, prevented Idol from accepting the role. Then James Cameron thought of casting Michael Biehn? I don't know who that is, in the role of the explanation that Skynet managed to clone... Oh! Michael, whatever his name is, was Reese from the first movie. Wow, that would have been trippy. Wow. Anyway, Reese was a real human. Anyway, so James Cameron thought that the actor who played Reese, Michael B., in the role... with the explanation that Skynet managed to clone Reese's body and use it for a new Terminator. Holy crap, would that have been good. Oh, wow. Oh my god, that is blowing my mind right now. That would have been awesome. Awesome! I mean, I love the liquid metal guy, how he is. Super creepy and undefeatable. But wow, that would have been a whole new element to the movie. Because... okay, so one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when John Connor and now good guy Terminator Arnold Schwarzenegger, they're breaking out Sarah Connor from the mental institute in which she resides because of the Terminators from the first movie. Anyway, so they're breaking her out, and simultaneously she's trying to escape. But while she's running, she encounters Arnold coming out of an elevator with a gun, and she thinks, holy crap, this guy's going to kill me. The Terminator's back. I can't believe it. And the suspense in that scene was so freaking great. And it turns out Arnold's a good guy. But, wow, that would have been great because, wow, it would have just been flipped from the first movie. I kind of like that, though. The first movie, wow. Would have totally... I can't... It's blowing my mind. Arnold being the good guy and Reese now being the bad guy. Terminator even, which he wasn't... Wow. That would have been great. It's blowing my mind. Anyways, but they're saying that James Cameron dropped the idea after deciding that the audience would find it too confusing. Which, yes, they may have, but I would have loved it. I would have thought it was great. I love confusing stuff. That's why I like time travel. Anyway, so Linda, oh yeah, I knew about this actually. Linda Hamilton, who played Sarah Connor, she suffered permanent hearing loss in one ear during the elevator shootout. There was a scene where Arnold and her and John, they were in an elevator, and the liquid metal guy is on top of the elevator. And so Arnold is shooting his shotgun, upward towards the liquid metal guy. Which, again, why are you shooting him? It won't kill him. Anyway. Won't even stunt him. Anyway, so she suffered permanent hearing loss in one ear during the elevator shootout because she had not replaced her earplugs after removing them between takes. That sucks. Anyway, so Terminator 2. Definitely 5 stars out of 5 stars. On my book. The first Terminator was also 5 stars out of 5 stars in my book. Not that I keep a legitimate book. I'm just, I don't keep an... What do you expect? You expect me to really keep an actual book of movies and their rating? No. That's what this is for. This will be my online digital book in which I can keep ratings for the movies I watch. And, you can remember it. If you really want to remember my ratings for the movie, you can listen back and remember it. Because I am not going to write it down. Sorry. Anyway, 5 stars out of 5 stars for Terminator 2 Judgment Day. 5 stars out of 5 stars for the regular Terminator. And I have quite a few movies that have 5 stars out of 5 stars. But also a lot of movies that, 0 stars out of 5 stars. Also a lot of movies that are kind of meh. 2 or 3 stars. Anyway, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It was awesome. And I highly recommend it in 4K. So good. So good. Anyway, that's just about all I have to say about Terminator 2. If you enjoy this podcast, stay tuned for an episode 2. We're going to be talking about a different movie, and I promise it's not going to be Terminator 1, because that's too much Terminator for 2 weeks in a row. But we will be talking about a different movie. It'll be next week. This is going to be a weekly podcast. We may or may not have a guest, because we sometimes will, sometimes won't. So I will see you next week. And in the meantime, if you feel so inclined, you can follow the podcast on Instagram at Kevin Talks Movies. Or if you have a comment, suggestion, movie you want to hear me talk about, or talk about with me. If you want to, talk back to the podcast as if I was talking to you in person, feel free. Anyway, if you comments, questions, concerns, movies you want to hear me talk about, you can feel free to either comment on the Instagram page at Kevin Talks Movies, or you can email the podcast. You can email me via the podcast. The email address is Kevin Talks Movies Podcast at gmail.com. No dots, no dashes, no spaces. I don't think you can even have a space in an email address, but I promise there's none of that. It's just straight up Kevin Talks Movies Podcast at gmail.com. Instagram, Kevin Talks Movies. Yeah, that's about it. What do you think? Let me know. Okay. I will talk to you next week. See ya.